Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirisho here, and now, before we begin, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. We had Deku. We also had the group. Now, they got back from the Feywild, and Pyra, she was not happy. She made a deal with a hag that resulted in her having to find a way to save her relationship with Deku and save her sister. She decided in the end she'll pay the price of getting cursed in order to keep both. Now, they were able to head to a town close by called Becton, where her sister was going to arrive and die nearby. And when they did arrive the next day, at least sometime around then, they were able to pick up a quest to take out some of the stronger things in the area. They were then able to run into her sister after she was pointed their direction by people at the guild, thanks to Pyra telling everybody what was going on. Now, she told her sister to quite simply head home after she gave her money, and she was happy about this. Deku even broke the charm that she got from the hag, and the memories began to come back. Things started to return back to normal. But there was one problem the next morning, because Pyra woke up and she had claws. She had wolf ears. She had a tail, and she even had dog-like paws for feet. So yeah, that definitely is a bit of a problem. And the others, when they saw her, they were quite shocked, since she's turned into beast folk. And that does mean a bit. And there is currently this morning at breakfast. Everyone, they are doing quite a bit. They're handling their food and their meals. But Deku does get to watch Pyra. Him still a bit in shock about what's happened. And she is a bit ravenous, where it does come down to the food she's eating. Him looking at Oliver, who himself does kind of start laughing a bit. And Izuku, he doesn't stare on, for he's turned to Astoth, who currently is ripping into a large piece of meat that he bought for him. And Pyra, she still doesn't look up. Her still trying to think about how she's going to do a few things with these claws. The skill she does have is for archery. And now that she doesn't have the ability to draw back a bow without breaking the string, she's got to use some other method to fight. Her even bringing that up as Oliver does talk about how maybe they can head to a shop nearby. I mean, he did think about trading out his sword for something. Maybe a big-ass hammer. And Deku does turn, talking about how that might be good. Maybe he might be able to level up evaluation again. Seriously? I mean, I might be able to. Looking at all the stuff in there, I can even tell you if it's cursed or not. Or if you're getting a deal and it's enchanted. You two do that. Honestly, I'm fine with my claws. Deku turning to Indra, who does comment, however, about getting more potions, and maybe even getting a bag of holding, since that might be the only thing really worthy of buying there. And Deku, he does understand that. Oliver nodding and agreeing with that statement himself, since his money bag is a little full. And right now, yeah, he might need to get something better. Currently, him talking about the money back at the castle they do currently have. And he does understand. Them heading out after breakfast to a magic shop, where the person, they do try to haggle about the prices of a few things. And Oliver, he does find a giant hammer that cost 15 gold. Him paying for it, and even getting a bag of holding. Him and Indra both purchasing that and not caring about the price. And the clerk can tell this is a group of high-level adventurers or the fact that they're looking at the items, not the price tag. And Deku himself, he does even try to ask about magic potions they may have in stock. And the person, they're quite pleased with this, since they're buying the strongest magical items they can. And if they're talking about potions, then yeah, they're gonna sell some freaking potions. Right now, them talking about a few things. There's another shop in town that does sell potions. They specialize in that, and they can point them in that direction. They do stock up on them here, but there is a limit. If they do want potions from them, they'd have to go directly there and buy them in bulk. They do have minor potions of healing that can deal basic injuries. They do have stronger potions, and then they do have their strongest potions, which they're more potent because of the ingredients. And they do cost 1 gold each. Him understanding. Thinking about how if he doesn't have magic, the potions might be the best option. Deku asking for 10 of those potions of each variety. And the person, they're loving this business exchange. As right now, even Indra and Oliver do ask for the same thing. And Pyra, yeah, she has been looking at a few of the melee weapons they do have. Her still thinking about a sword. Or even thinking about something that could cover her claws or even using her fist. She's not good with melee weapons. And Indra does get to notice this, her making her way over and trying to help her newfound friend in this venture. And when Deku does that turn and see that, he does a slightly smile. Indra's been getting better. And after their adventure in the dungeon, she has seemed to become a bit more friendly. Relaxed. Maybe it's just him, but she seems to find them in better company now. And that does mean quite a bit to him. Currently, him turning back as they do to pay for the potions and equipment they've all bought. And the shop owner, they definitely feel like they've done something well today, since that was quite a bit of business they got. Now, they do even try to talk about a few more things, deciding to finally head back to Granola, since Izuku never really did talk to the king. And if the court, they did want to say something to him, then they need to have him there to begin with. Though, he does need to continue on his training. Then on his mind, him carrying Pyra in his arms like a princess. I know her holding on to him as he does to ask her questions about how she does feel, as she does try to answer them to the best of her abilities. Her tail hanging loosely as Deku, he does have his wings flapping behind him. Still happy about this newfound ability Theodore has taught him. It's a bit odd, but it's like he's wearing a glider. Or, well, he has an extension to himself, like his weapon. However, just a bit more intimate. He can feel the things that happen with them. He can feel the air resistance. It's odd, but it isn't bad. It's definitely going to take some getting used to. Even Astoth is having a good time flying around them. Him trying to keep ahead as Deku, he does try to flap his wings a little faster. And Indra, she does not want to be left behind. Her carrying Oliver with one arm. Him holding his hammer as she does try to build up more speed to catch up. A little annoyed at being left behind in all the fun. And when they do to head back to Granola, there is where they do to land. Right now, talking about a few things and wanting to get more settled. Her family is safe, and that's what she does care about. However, going out hunting, going on quest, it is going to feel weird. Her nose has already begun to pick up on more intense smells, more intense things. Her eyes do feel like things are a little too bright sometimes. And her hands, yeah. She's going to need to trim her claws. Find something for that particular thing. And people, whenever they do to see the group, They do stare at the new person there. However, when they do to turn their head, they're surprised to see that it's supposed to be the elf, though the appearance is quite striking. Now, Deku does report back in Oliver. He does report back in to Theodore that they are here. However, Theodore, yeah, he does have a test for Izuku. Right now, outside Granala, there is something going on. And adventurers, they've reported a monster. At first, they thought that some of the wildlife acting strange and odd might have been from poachers. It could have even been from strange, if not crazy, monsters. But this is something different. They found evidence of a caravan being destroyed. And this creature, it has even wrecked a bit of the wildlife in the area nearby. And they want him to investigate. Deku, hearing about the reward that is placed on its head, and he does understand, since something about this doesn't seem right. And Theodore, he knows it's a very strong magical creature, and Izuku, he'll be able to get some of the aggression he still might have piled up out on it. And that right now does sound like a good idea. Him quite happy about this, but still a bit wary, wanting to take it on alone, but he does still want his party there. Pyra, she's talking about sitting this one out and doing a bit of a different quest, and he can't blame her. However, Oliver, he does want to come along, and Indra, she herself is talking about this. Right now, her ready for battle. And there is even Aztok, who he does still want to fly around, not wanting to leave his master's side. And Izuku does get to pet the dragon on the head, talking about how he probably should get his rest, though it does a chirp back at him, messaging him telepathically about how it will not leave him in combat alone. And it spent a lot of time alone at the castle. Though Deku does understand, letting it know that on the next adventure they go on, he can. However, the flight there and back was not very close, so he is tired. As doth understanding, Deku pulling a bag from his inventory and handing it over to the dragon. It going to have its eyes shine and take the bag of coins, flying away to the room, since it does need to start protecting its own hoard. And that will keep the creature busy for a bit of time. Right now, Izuku turning back and going to leave for this adventure. And Theodore, he is quite intrigued to know what his student will be doing. Quite intrigued to see how they handle everything. And Deku himself, he does want to see this monster. If it is doing what they're saying, it's quite possible he might be dealing with it some, wyvern again? Or maybe something different. Some sort of, pack of giant wolves? Maybe, he hasn't really fought a pack of wolves before, but he's definitely run from a Bahir before. Though, maybe a drake? Something like that. And that is on his mind. Right now, him flying overhead of the forest, looking down and trying to see something, trying to see anything. And Indra, she does comment on it. Deku floating in the air, as Oliver, he does still hold on to Deku's arm. Him talking about how it's nowhere around. Are you sure? Indra gonna flap her wings slowly, talking about how maybe it has a lair somewhere. Maybe a cave? Maybe, but hang on. Deku turning his head, using search magic. And whenever he does go to pour magic into the spell, he does go to watch the area pulse with magic. Turning his head, you're going to use evaluation, watching as creatures do begin to pop up in his vision, seeing low-level markers and even seeing one at level 5, a weak creature, one at level 20, one at level 120, one at... wait, turning back, 120. Okay, that's gotta be the creature they're after. Him going to be flying down. And Oliver, he does comment on it, asking Deku if they can put him down now. Him flying down to the forest below and going to sit his friend down. Him quite happy and then reaching down to his bag of holding. As Deku does a turn, watching a giant hammer be pulled directly out from the bag. In this, it looks like something Deku would see in a cartoon. Him turning back a little bit more casually, talking about it. Right, so it's over here in that direction. Though it's gotta be a giant creature flying out of the forest. It makes a joke at him as Oliver does it to activate his new skill. Him stepping in as the creature does it to open its maw. Him going to smash his hammer to the side of its head. It being redirected as Deku, he does go bring up his wings and go to blast out spikes directly at it. The spiritual energy flashing at it and stabbing at the side of the creature. As he does go backwards into the air and Indra does bring her hands up, creating claws made of fire as she does go to stare at it, asking exactly what the hell it's doing. It shouldn't have been able to find them. And it does go to turn, looking at Oliver and hissing, as he does bring the hammer over his head and express, waving it around about how it's not going to get him that easy. Besides, they've got a bit more power than it expects. And Izuku, he himself does see that. Right on him covering himself in spiritual armor, as he has to pull his sword and go to get back to the ground. His wing is disappearing. If he does need them later, he'll switch to aerial combat. However, right now he does still want to test this blade. This creature is high level, and from what he can tell, this should be good. The creature slithering around as its giant tail does come swinging out. Deku going to immediately back away and leap backwards, before he does a leap forwards and go to step in. Right now the creature watching on. As Deku, he does a rush forwards and bring his sword up, going to disappear into a bright flash. Him stepping in and slashing at the creature. It roaring out in pain as Oliver does go rushing in. Him leaping into the air and going to swing down with his hammer. When the creature does get airborne, he does a smash it back down, hitting it quickly as he does a leap backwards when it does a try and snap out at him. Before he does go to look up, Indra flying in and going to slash in the creature's body. It roaring out and taking the attacks. Before it's a turn and spit acid directly towards Oliver, who does go to leap up into the air again. Him crashing down onto its body as Deku, he does go slashing into it, stabbing us at the creature with his blade. Before it does a swing around its tail. Deku going to grab the body of it and begin to hold on, being ripped up into the air as it does go smash down with him still there. And he does go to lay there for a minute, quite surprised as he does try and stand back up. The creature turning and rushing at him, as it does go to attack. Deku bringing his hands up and getting ready, beginning to try to use Misty Step. The creature being smacked in the back and slashed on the side. It turning as it does a swing its tail out towards where Deku does go to land. And right as it reappear, he is struck by the tail, sent flying through the air and crashing to a tree. Him smash into the second and third one, or he has a finally smash into a fourth and going to fall to the ground, landing with a hard thud. Right now him sitting there for a second and feeling the blood begin to pool into his mouth, before Oliver does get a turn and the creature does rush out towards him. It going to smash into him and begin to try and wrap him up. Indra, take him to the sky and bring your hands up, begin to blast out fireballs as it does go to turn. Spring out acid at her, and she's a fly backwards. Deku coming back in as this time he does go to use his Spirit Guardian. It rushing forwards and smashing into the creature's nose. It pulling back as Oliver, he does go to try to break free again. However, this thing is constricting him, and he is fighting back with all of his might. The giant serpent trying to crush every bone in his body. Him feeling something break as he scream out in pain. And Deku, he does go to find his blade. Him crashing down and beginning to slice into the creature. Him taking the hilt and activating that skill once more, slicing into it as wounds do begin to reappear all over its body. And whenever it does it on decoil, he does go to rush in. Oliver leaping up as hard as he can, being able to get his top half out of this thing's coil as it does a turn. Andra blasting it in the face as the creature does try to snap at her in the air. And he does it to pull Oliver free, healing his friend as his guardian does come flying in. And Deku does a turn, trying to create another guardian as a small dragon does it appear. The red spiritual dragon began to fly around and blast out into the thing's head, it turning and trying to snap out towards it. As the thing does a smash into the giant serpent. And Deku, he does comment on it. Okay, maybe this thing was a bit stronger than they thought. They need to get out of here. Now, why would you do that? Them both turning and seeing someone. Evaluation. Evaluation level 4 achieved. Deku is staring at them, as his eyes do stare at their name and their level. Zagal. But their level is question mark, question mark, question mark? Who the hell are you? Are you here to help us? No, I'm not. In fact, I think my master will be quite pleased to find that I killed you using one of my simple little toys. Your master? Yes. You must be the hero. I have to say I'm quite disappointed. You can't even beat this simple little serpent. I don't think the Demon Lord's going to be very happy with you at all. The Demon Lord. Deku bring up his weapon, looking at Oliver and talking about it. Help Indra take on the serpent. He'll deal with this guy. Do you think that you can really handle me, hero? You're punching way too high. I can distract you. Him appearing in front of Deku, going to bring his hand up and smash Deku in the gut, seeing him flying away and crashing through the forest. Right now Deku going to smash through a tree, hitting into a rock and bouncing off of it. Before he does go smashing through the air, flying through it and hitting another tree, running across the ground and ending up about 100 feet away from where he was standing. And the person, they do appear whenever Deku does a roll back over and begin to use healing magic on himself once more. Going to climb to his feet and thinking about how hard that guy punched. Okay, this is bad. Sir Theodore, we've got to call Theodore for backup. He's got to use the circles and get out of here. Shit. Indra and Oliver. If that guy moves that fast, then... Deku turning his head. The person bringing their hands up as Deku, he does get to disappear in a silver smoke. Him reappearing a few feet away as they do get to bring their hands up. Without chains wrapping out around Deku. Them going to wrap around him as he does going to turn. Bringing his hand up and going to cast a barrier. The guy watching as the barrier does a form around his own head. Him grabbing at it as right now he does go to suck in a breath and realize what he's doing. He can feel it constrict around his neck like a collar. The kid's trying to make him pass out. A smart tactic. Him smashing through the barrier and hitting himself in the side of the head. as he has a second under their breath, and Deku does use Misty Step again. Right now, him teleporting a few more feet away, as he's 40 feet away from his companions, turning and running at top speed, yelling at them about how they've got to retreat. And this person, they do to reappear. Zagul right now standing right in front of Deku again, talking about it. Come on, he's just having a little bit of fun before he just kills them. Don't blame him too much. Though, he was given explicit orders. And right now, he's tired of playing their damn games. The Master will be more happy when they're all dead. It's that simple. He won't listen to that fucking paladin. What? He's a goody, doing everything he's told. I fucking hate him. Him rushing at Deku, and though weapons do to collide, he is quite surprised. Deku sliding back 5 feet and then stepping forwards, bring up his weapon and going to blast out Frost at him. Him bringing his own hand up and going to blast out flames. Him going to watch as Deku, he does go to hold his ground. Before Deku, he does immediately step in and go to use a whirlwind slash. Right now, him blasting forwards and slicing into his opponent. Him blocking some of the attacks as Deku does watch on. Him moving at heightened speeds. As Izuku, he does go sliding backwards over the opponent, does go to punch back. Him feeling his armor cracking. And that isn't good. Deku sitting there for a second and sucking in breath, looking down at the cracks in his spiritual armor. He's never seen that before. It's not indestructible, but it's never been this damaged. It beginning to heal over, as Deku does pour more energy into it. And right now the person does talk about it. Deku bring up his sword and going to activate the third enchantment that's on it, as he does tell it, ×3. And the person does stare at him, asking if he's really going to talk to his damn weapon like that. Dark Steel's pretty damn tough, but it isn't indestructible. Damn near close, but he's surprised at the fact that the kid does have that. Him stepping in, and Deku, he does get to take a risk, activating his whirlwind attack once more, rushing as this time when their weapons do clash. The guy is quite surprised. Deku swinging with ferocity, swinging with all his might, all his spirit. And whenever their weapons do slash together, there are shockwaves coming off of each strike. Indra and Oliver turning their heads briefly and watching this. The serpent knocking Indra out of the air as she's crashing down. Run out her, landing on the forest ground and getting back to her feet, staring at the creature that does stand there. And Deku, he does go to slash out at his opponent and finally cut them across their face, them backing away as their weapon does get a crack. Deku going to watch that, and when they do go to hold up their hand, they do go to run their hand across their cheek, before going to smile, licking the blood clean from their hand. And Deku, he does feel sick watching that. And right now, his body does feel bad. Using healing magic, then the strain begin to go down as his vitality does go up. And he does go to stare at the person, expressing, Now, this is quite simple. They wanted to have a bit of fun. He's definitely making it more interesting. Would killing that creature increase his level? Deku staring at him, and the guy is acting completely nonchalant about this. Him turning to look at the creature and looking back at him, before he does get to confirm. It would. It's over 40 levels his level. Huh, honest one, aren't you? Go ahead then. I'll just remain here. It wouldn't be fun, and if you do get stronger, then I would like to see this. Deku's staring at that. Okay. He's got to plan this out right. The thing is strong and shit. He's gonna have to tap into his emergency funds once again, isn't he? Okay. He's got to plan this out properly. Opening his inventory, and the guy does see that strange glow in Deku's eyes. Going to smile, knowing exactly what it does mean from what he's heard. And Deku, he does mean to dump all his points into what he thinks he does need. Right now, him watching his available points drop down to 0. And right now, he does go to stare at the person before he does talk about it. Does he have their word they won't interfere if he does go fight that serpent? Please. I'm not going to promise you that. We got plenty of those things. I don't care. Him turning to it. Him turning to his opponent and still looking at them. Before he's a rush back in to go on the offensive. Right now, him running in with his sword and going at high speed. Him rushing the creature and slicing into its side. And Oliver and Indra, they do go to watch that. The creature taking a deep gash in its side as Oliver, he does go to stand there. Right now, him dropping a potion to the ground. Indra going to fly in and slash this thing across its head. Her doing that as Deku, he does a turn, bring up his sword, which has increased its weight by 3 times. And he does go slashing down as hard as possible. Him slicing deeply into its side again. Before he does a turn and swing around. Him going to begin striking the creature hard with magic slashes. And it does take the attacks, begin to get wounded. Him focusing on one spot as Oliver, he does go to smash down on the creature's head. It going to try to attack him. But whenever it does go to bite out at his hammer, he does keep it paying this thing's mouth open. Him rushing in and smashing in the eye and taking it out. And the creature, it does just spray out its poison directly at them. However, with its maw stuck open, it cannot close it. And this is bad. Very bad for it. Deku flying forwards and slashing through its back. It ripping open, and the creature, it does go to scream out with blood loss. And he does come down. Around him, slamming down on the creature's head and shoving his sword directly through its brain. As the creature, it does go to have ice magic begin to rush through its skull, and it does go to freeze over. Before it does go slamming down to the ground and dying. And Izuku, he does go to stand there. Right now, him huffing with breath and trying to think. Watching as right now his inventory, his system does inform him about how he has reached level 80, and he does currently have 20 points available. Him listening to that, turning to the man and expressing, he needs a minute. Okay, what should he do? He's already very strong, but this guy's clearly stronger. He already put more points in his strength. Speed? Maybe even them both out at 50. Right, but he needs more than that. He is going to need to increase his reflexes and senses. Keep them up. But it's not even that. His vitality is low. He'll probably need to put that up at 10. Okay, I'll do that with 2 points and... Okay. Come on. What more can I do? Reflexes at 50? No. Speed up to 60, and then I'll have to bring everything up a bit more. Senses at 48, and then speed at 60. Right. That's what he can do. Deku dumping his points quickly and staring at this person. And they do go to stand there. Izuku still seeing those question marks above their head. Turning to his opponent and telling him, they'll go one-on-one. Turning to his friends and telling them, get back to the castle now. Tell them about what's going on here. And Indra does shout no. Her standing by Deku's side and talking about it. Oliver stepping up and expressing, if he thinks that they're leaving, he's got another thing going. Deku turning to his friends, telling them, right now he'll hold him off. That's all he could do. Get Oliver. Get Theodore. Oliver. Fuck, just go. Deku shoving something into his hand. And his friend does go look down, seeing the crystal as one of the objects, understanding Deku's plan. Right now, him nodding his head and turning. The person going to express, bring their hands up and begin to blast out fireballs. If he really thinks he's going to let them get away that easy, he's got another thing. Deku bring up his shield. Right now, him watching as the shield does a take the attacks and break immediately. Him going to turn and rush forwards. The guy surprised at Deku, nearly doubling in speed, as he does get flooded with spirit. Right now, him rushing at him and the two to clash their weapons. The man going to watch as Deku, he does go to put more force into his attack. Him going to hold his weapon there, and the guy does begin to push back, pushing, and pushing. Before he does have his weapon break and Deku slice down directly into his chest. Him stepping backwards as he does it a laugh out, watching the blood fly as Deku does step forwards, using his whirlwind slash, knowing the repercussions it does have, using it so many times in one day. But right now, he needs it, slashing into the guy's body and slicing him across the chest again, and again, slicing him in the shoulder and then slicing him up in the throat, aware that this might kill him. But he's a high-level opponent, and he works for the Demon Lord. Him slashing him in the leg and watching as the blood does a spurt from his thigh quickly. The guy stepping backwards as Deku, he does gonna fall to a knee, watching him back away as blood does begin to fly, bringing his hand up to his throat and going to talk about it. Damn! Deku looking up, watching on as the guy, his wounds are healing in front of him, and that it does alarm him. The guy expressing, it has been a long time since he's actually taken damage like that. But how? Simple. Him rushing forwards, grabbing Deku by the throat and picking him up. His sword falling to the ground as a rush forwards and slam Deku through a tree. Before he does a turn, smash him to the ground and telling him, he's just fucking stronger. He's just better. And, well, he picked the wrong side for this little fight. If he wanted to be on the winning side, then hey, perhaps his lord will want to take on someone who has power. He's got quite a bit of it, he does know that. But seriously, did he really expect to beat him? This isn't some fairy tale kid turning and throwing him through the air. Deku being sent flying and crashing into a tree again, feeling it blow through his skull with an immense amount of force. Him watching as the guy, he is flying in front of Deku, bringing his hands down and burying Deku through the earth, before he has to pick him up and rush him directly through a rock, to crashing through the giant stone and right now smashing into the river. As Izuku, he does go lay there in the water for a second, and the guy does hold him down. Right now, Deku trying to get air. However, the guy does stare at Deku as he does get none. Right now being held down in the water as he does try to think about what to do. And he does have an idea. He can't focus enough to concentrate to teleport, but it won't work anyway. He can't see any solid area, he can. Does air count as open space? Maybe, but he doesn't know how far he'd go. If he goes for maximum range, that could work. But right now, it doesn't seem to be good. He can't get the concentration to even put that spell on his mind. And he does use his cloak. Right now, it bending and whipping around and reaching up to the guy's head. It wrapping around it and beginning to tighten and squeeze as hard as possible. The guy letting go as the wet rag around his head, it does go to squeeze hard. And Deku, he does pour more mana into it. Him jumping up and rushing forwards, clocking the guy across the head as right now he does go to get breath. The guy ripping this cloak away. Deku seeing the fabric torn as it doesn't disperse in a mana. It going to disappear as it is a retreat back to him and he has a stand there. Thinking about how to handle this. His armor is breaking. Some of the iron plates are gone. He's too far from his sword, and this dude, yeah, he's powerful. Okay. Theodore should be here for backup. Him rushing it. The guy rushing at Deku and clocking him across the face with a left hook, battering him with a right. His spiritual armor going to reappear. Him bringing his hand up as right now he does try to block the guy's blow as he does send a smash forwards with his right hand. And that it doesn't seem to work. Right now him creating a spiritual construct of another arm, smash him across the face with a right hook. A left spiritual arm, smash him across the face again. And Deku, he does try to hold back this guy's hand. However, he does find that his strength still isn't enough. Even whenever he increased it by a ton. He put it at 50. How the hell is this guy so fucking strong? Right now, trying to think. Is it the level gap? It's gotta be that. Shit, he's too experienced, too powerful. Okay, the sigil might be his only way out. I'm trying to think. Well, the guy does go to throw his fist out, smashing Deku in the chest. His armor breaking completely as he is sent flying backwards. Feeling the blood pour from his nose as he'll crash into the ground. Rolling backwards and going to sit there for a minute. Wheezing and feeling his ribs breaking. Feeling how tender everything just felt. Did he black out? No, he's fine. He's conscious. Oh, crap. Deku feeling all the pain smash into him later. He didn't know that was possible. Shit. Going to turn. His vision going black for a second when he does try to stand. He feels everything ringing, spinning. Beginning to use healing magic. And the guy does stare at Deku. Surprised that he's still on his damn feet. It does seem quite funny. Deku bringing his hands up as his aura does begin to form back around him. But his system does get to tell him one simple thing. Spiritual Guardian damaged. Current time between next manifestation is at 1 hour. And that does alarm him. He's never run into that problem. Okay, he's got this. Right now him going to rush forwards, quickly trying to gain his bearing and buy some more time. He just needs to wait till everyone else gets here. Wait till Theodore does arrive. And he does a punch this guy across the face, smash him across the face with his left hook, and then going to punch out again with his right. The person bringing up their hand and catching Deku by his fist. Beginning to crush his hand as Deku does a throw his head forwards, headbutting them and finding that was a very bad idea. And Fury, it currently is active. Right now him trying to think about how to handle this. Okay, he needs something else. Him activating his familiar skill. Right now him going to back away as the person is rushing forwards. Deku bring up his dragon skill arms as he does a block the punch and go sliding backwards, rushing forwards and bring his fist up, punching into him again, this time as hard as physically possible, using what spiritual power his body can draw from. On the person, they just stare at that, talking about how he's got quite a number of skills. So how many of them can he properly use? Deku throwing out another punch, him catching Deku's arm and staring at it. Dragon scales are red from up towards his wrist past his arm, as he does go to do one thing. He does go to twist Deku's arm and the bone does come snapping right out of it. Deku going to look down at that, or he does a step forwards, punching with his right hand. And the guy does a let go of it, talking about it. Damn! Okay, he didn't know he had that type of ability. Not even a scream. Degu's staring at it. Before he does go to try and use healing magic, but feeling something wrong with that. Okay. Yeah, no, his magic isn't advanced enough to fix that one. Potion? A high quality potion, maybe. But this guy wouldn't let him drink it. He knows that already. Okay, come on, he's gotta think this through. Bring up his right hand. Before someone, they do to say something out loud. That is enough. Deku, turning his head as behind him, does stand a man. And this one has the same thing above his head. His name is... What? What is that? It doesn't... Why isn't it there? He doesn't have a name. But his level... It's... No way. How is it? Deku's staring at the question marks. As some of them, they do even turn into alert symbols. It's odd. His level's gotta be super high for that. He's almost... How? Come on. You seriously can't expect me not to want to kill him. He's being fun, too. The man stepping in front of Deku, expressing they were given explicit orders not to kill yet. They still have much time before then. Their lord still wanted to observe the heroes, and they will listen to him. You little fucking dog. You really think I care about that? If he wants them dead, why play with them? Though I was having a lot of fun with that one. Step aside. You will listen to what I say. The next action you perform will determine your fate. Him stepping forwards. And Izuku, he does feel murderous intent rise off of this man. As the next second that guy is immediately grabbed by the throat and smashed into the ground. As the man does express, looking down at this guy. They are going to talk about this now. And they will talk about it later. Bringing his hand up and casting a spell. Deku recognizing it as a sleep spell. And he does watch as this guy immediately falls unconscious. Before the man is to mutter something else under his breath. Deku recognizing the language as Elvish. As the man is to disappear. And he does get to fully stand. Turning back to Deku in his armor. He's intimidating. Deku taking a step backwards, bring up his hand and talking about it. If this is what's gonna happen, then he'll fight. He's gonna go down swinging. He won't let them hurt anyone in Granola. You misunderstand, hero. I'm gonna stop, bringing his hands behind his back. We are still observing you. This was a rogue agent. No, had I wanted you dead, you would be dead. Though, it does appear that now is properly time for something else. Who are you? I am an agent of the Demon Lord. And right now, you are mine to observe. Him stepping forwards. Deku throwing in a fist as a hand has come to his head. And he immediately does feel a lot of things bombard his memory. Bombarding his mind. But the man does stand there. Him going to drop Deku down to his knees. Right now, him going to feel pain straining through his mind. And he does go let go, expressing as he does back away. He sees. So those are his abilities. That is what he's done in the last couple years. He is only a child. To think that a god would send a child to die, no, that is not something a just god would do. Him looking down at Deku. And whenever he does go to look up, one of his eyes bloodshot, the man does get a frown. To think that a god would send a child off to war. Now that is not something a good man would do. Not something that should happen. Until we meet again, hero, know that you have my apologies. Our next interaction will not be as friendly. man disappearing. And Izuku, he does go to fall forwards. Reno landing on his good hand and trying to catch his breath. He's not having a good time. His brain is... something's wrong. Deku laying there, falling to the side and going to breathe, trying to take deep breaths and focus on what he can. His head feels like someone just ran a freight train through it, and it is not good. Though there is one where the group does go to arrive, finding Deku and seeing the devastation caused to the forest. The cloak wrapped around his arm and making sure to stop the bleeding, as it and him are taken back to Granola. Deku being given a high-quality potion and on bed rest, as he does a report back in later about what happened. Currently him laying in his bed. Right now his arm covered by his cloak once again. This time it keeping him from moving. As the limb, it's basically in a cast, which is kind of funny. As Theodore does stand there, both arms crossed, asking Izuku. And they just left? They did. I don't understand. I saw the other guy's name, but he didn't have one. What was his name? Zagal. He had 3 question marks, but I could see the serpent's level. 120. Though this guy, his level was not there. There wasn't even question marks, so those things were just changing. That is odd. Can you tell my level? No. It just has question marks. But you can see my name. Yes. Theodore. Him going to bring his face into his hand, as he'll express, letting out a breath that he does see. Well then, he'll let Izuku know. Last time he went to the guild, he was evaluated as being over level 200. And that was a bit time ago. If this guy is truly as strong as Deku does say, it might be a good thing that he's still alive. They're going to need to increase his training. And this is not good. You sure? Yes. You need to get stronger if you are to encounter that man again. If this rogue agent does find you, Izuku, it will be bad. You understand this, correct? Now get rest. I believe that there is a lot to do. In the meantime, I'll be discussing things with members of the court, seeing about what exactly I can provide for you. You gain power from killing that creature quite quickly. It does appear that you are having similar problems some adventurers do have. And that would be? You plateau. You eventually find a realm of power where you don't feel like you gain any more improvements. Have you not noticed this? I have a little bit. Ever since Stonefen, that jump, it isn't as good. It's taking me longer and training doesn't exactly cut it. So you need to explore, adventure, and take down great foes. I will look into some court documents, see if there is anything nearby you may take on. However, those quests will be dangerous, and your party, I'm certain, will be either up for them or wary of them. You must get stronger, much stronger. Today is only a lesson of what you're dealing with. I know. Another door going to burst open as Pyra does come running in quickly on her feet. Theodore turning to her as he does gonna bring up a hand, stopping her from lunging onto Deku. As he does tell her, he's in great pain, and to take it slowly, her turning to Theodore and glaring at him. However, her eyes do to soften, looking back at Deku, who does attempt to sit up with the cape constricting his arm and keeping it in one solid place. As Avtos does get to jump up, the tiny dragon going to fly over to Deku and land on his stomach. Deku letting out a grunt of pain as Pyra does stare at that, her sitting down on the bed and trying to ask him if he's alright. Bring her hands up and expressing. It's just lowering her hands. Her quite embarrassed about these talons she does have. I'm fine. Just caught off guard, that was all. Couldn't risk using the sigil. The guy was faster than us. Plus, I don't think he would have let me. That one guy had teleportation magic. I need to talk to Indra, see what she knows about it herself. I need to start learning dragon magic. If I can talk to Atrig, I may give you his information. But if you do wish to train with him, he might ask you to take on a great quest. Something to prove your worth. I'm willing if it can keep us safe. Him nodding, turning to leave, as right now he does it a pat Astoth on the head. The creature going to give a bit of a sound to him. The door closing as Pyra does ask him exactly what happened. Long story. Though apparently overusing that skill comes with some repercussions. Laying back down, his body, it's been healed. However, his being feels like it's been injured. And that will take some time before it can properly mend. And she does lay down next to him, wrapping her arm around him and going to lie there. Deku, hearing a thudding sound for turning, realizing that her tail is wagging, and this does make him try to stifle a laugh that would hurt his ribs, as Astoth does a flyover. Right now, him going to flap his wings and land quickly by Deku's head, turning to look towards the door and laying his head down on Deku's chest. Him looking at the tiny dragon before thinking for a second. Huh. That's odd. Has Atos been getting bigger? Huh. Maybe it's just his imagination. Bring up his right hand and going to pat the dragon on the head, talking about how seems like he's been eating a lot more, huh? It letting out a sound but staring at the doorway, ready to take on any intruders who do go to intrude on its master's rest. And Izuku, he does go to find sleep quickly. However, he does go to open his eyes, realizing that he's lucid. And he does a sigh before looking around the room he's in. He's in the castle. Astoth is nowhere to be seen. Neither is Pyra. And someone they return at his desk expressing. It is quite interesting to see him. Thela, I've sensed your injury. Are you alright, husband? I'm fine. But I don't think I'm going to get used to you calling me that. You must. I've made a deal with my grandmother. She had some interesting information. And while I was happy to check up on you so soon, I was rather curious about calling in my favor as well. That is the purpose of this visit. But I am concerned as well. I'm fine, just unexpected encounter. I see, Izuku. Deku's staring at her, as she does express. Her grandmother gave her the information, in exchange for something, a gift that may come soon. Really? May I ask how? The court records. You do still have that page? I believe you should check it. Whenever someone does take the book, their name is put down, their true name, and titles. I see. So Fova will be put down for you. Yes. Though I believe that you already would know that. She saw it whenever she looked over your shoulder. Great. That's just great. You're safe, hero. Izuku, I've come to call on my bargain with you. Fulfill it. Allow me to see your world. Tell stories of it. Hear about it. Share it. I can. But how does this work? You were worried about me knowing your name. I do know it. But what do you mean? Just simply allow me into your mind. Deku's standing, finding her arms wrapped around his neck, and she does try to pull him down to lean into a kiss. However, he does get to turn his head, telling her, he's... Does she know about the deal with the hag that his archer made? You mean Pyra? Yes. Do you know about that deal? I do indeed. Why? So you know she's been cursed. I see. There has been some talk about an unruly dog. Who broke the deal? Might that be her? Yeah. She was turned into beast folk. Do you know of a way to correct that? Me and her are together. I see. No, I do not. You are dealing with a powerful entity that you struck a deal with, and that curse is of her power. You could kill her, but you'd be right back at square one with the Fey Court. And I believe that would be bad. They would hunt you. And while you may be protected by certain laws of ours, being royalty, I do not know. You are only so far engrossed with us. Got it. So you must understand. She is cursed. That is how she is. Bring her hand to the side of his face, asking if she may now see his world. Instruct me. On this. Let me see into your mind. Let me know what I must do. Give me the information. Her smiling, as she does get a turn, expressing, that does sound quite like a bargain. One she is intrigued about. Is he really so afraid to let her inside his brain? Yes. Honest to a fault. I may allow you to know what to do. In this realm, magic is malleable. But this is dreams. Your dreams. Your imagination is power here. Right out of the room, fading away. And they do find themselves standing in a white surface. Clouds everywhere and in every direction infinite. Deku looking up and not seeing a sky. And she does try to tell him, make the sky blue. Do that as his first action. And then begin to picture the world around them. This is a dream. Control his dreams. And he does try this attempt. However, it does get a little harder. Her beginning to sculpt things to how Deku does understand them. And she is still quite intrigued. She can feel Deku's thoughts, feel some of them, and she does even tell him to lock what he wants away and push the ones he does want her to see to the surface. That will make it easier for her. And she does a turn, focusing on Deku as reaching into his dreams, she can find them. Find this strange world of his. And whenever it does get a build around them, her mask of superiority does get a fall. Her looking on in wonder, looking on in shock and seeing everything. And Izuku, he does find himself standing on a street. Things look a little more dull, but they are starting to get close. And he does try to inform her as to what she needs to fix. Her quite happy and turning, going further and further and further. And Izuku, he does find her getting very close, as right now, he does a turn, seeing someone flying by through the air and going to turn, waving at people as she's a turn seeing that. Seeing a world without magic. And that herself just went intriguing, watching as a helicopter does fly overhead. And right now, with that being said, just continue. Deku and her have a night to explore this world. And she does want to make full use of this. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.